What it do, guys? It's D'Anthony here, man, aka Hood Scout, back again for another edition of the Hood Scout podcast. And this is really a unique podcast, a podcast like no other. We're going to have athletes, we're going to have coaches, we're going to have intellectuals, we're going to have media members of all sorts. And don't forget, guys, to like this podcast, share this podcast, and help grow this podcast. This is not just my podcast. This is also your podcast. And the only reason it's going to grow is because you guys are going to be invested in it, guys. Sit back, get your beverage of choice ready, get your popcorn ready, get your dinner ready, get your steak ready, get your vegan meal ready. Tune in, guys. Hood Scout. Peace.
Hey, what it do, man? I am excited for this episode, man. This episode, man, with me and Coach Carlos Lynn, head coach at Cedar Hill High School, been around the game a long time. Won a powerlifting championship at Wilmer Hutchins, won a championship as a player at Wilmer Hutchins, won a championship in college, won a championship as a defensive coordinator, and been to the state finals in football as a head coach. This coach has a lot of wisdom, man. So really get your pen and your pad ready, take it out, and get ready to take some notes, man. Continue to like it. Make sure you like this. Make sure you share it. And if you get some nuggets, make sure you give to the podcast, man. We appreciate you here. Hey, signing out, man. Hey, what it do, guys? What it do is D'Anthony. Welcome back to the Hood Scout podcast. Another edition. Today I got a great guest. I got a champion, a leader of men, a guy that I'm really excited to interview. And without further ado, Coach, tell the people who you are and where you from.
Uh, Carlos Lynn, uh, originally Dallas, Texas, Wilmer Hutchins High School, and to a little small community called Alta Mesa, born and bred.
So, Coach, what was your first introduction into football?
Ooh, my very first.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Wow. Uh, it was 1980, 83. Um, my uncle just took me down to College Park and said I was gonna play for the Comets, and that's where I started with James Warren, uh, and the Cedar Crest Comets down in College Park. That's why I started.
Now, Coach, did you didn't grow up on Judge Dupree, did you?
No, I actually had a cousin that grew up on Judge Dupree.
Okay, yeah, that's where I grew up at. So, what do you remember about those early days of playing football when you just started? Was it just fun, or did you think you had a future in it?
At that time it was just fun. We just love playing and having the opportunity to go out and perform and be with your homeboys, and that's pretty much what it was at that time.
Then talk to me about Hutch. I mean, for those who may not listen, Hutch is, I guess you consider that a Southern Dallas County. That wasn't DISD though, I don't think. School that had guys such as Spud Webb and yourself. Walk me through Hutch. That was a pretty big deal. I know you guys won state. How was that experience for you?
That was, best times of my life. Our school district was an independent school district at that time, and just a lot of pride, just a lot of tradition. Uh, we kind of considered ourselves a small HBCU because all of our teachers were from HBCUs, and it's a true family. I played for Coach Robert Woods, who's a Texas high school football coach and legend. Um, Learned a lot of football under Coach Woods. Learned a lot about football, and if I had to be honest, that would probably be uh, my introduction to you know maybe even just thinking about entering the coaching field, just because I learned so much from him.
Now I've heard you mention him a lot, Coach. I don't know him because he's before my time, but what was it about Coach that was so influential to you? Because I love learning about those guys before my time as well.
Yeah, Coach Woods was a phenomenal coach. Coach Woods was at that time probably the only black coach that was at Plano High School. Coach Woods won a state championship in football and in basketball at Plano. Coach Woods was the defensive coordinator there, and he brought that that Plano system to Wilma Hutchins back in 1987, 1988, when Coach Woods came on the scene, and it was very disciplined. It was very structured. It was very organized, and it was something that and the level of detail that it had and that it brought was kind of unparalleled for a school that looked like ours. And it was brought to us at the right time. Our class was phenomenal. We were a class that had a lot of hush pride and wanted the school to do well. And Coach Woods, when he got there, he received a lot of backlashes because it was different. You know, the just kind of the way he played the game and the way he went about it. I've never known a coach to do the things that Coach Woods did. I never known a coach to, for all the times that I played for Coach Woods, I played for him for 3 years. He called every defense, he called every play on offense, and he did all the special teams. Coach Woods was a like one man game. He was definitely in his off season stuff. We still do a lot of that today. In 2022. So
Mhm.
it was a real effective. And we try to always, pay homage to him and what he's done. And he brought along my powerlifting coach, who was my offensive line coach, Dean Jackson, and he introduced powerlifting to us. Now, a lot of people don't know, the first state championship William Hutchins ever won was in 1990 in powerlifting. We won state championship in powerlifting. Then we went on that next football season, the season of 1990, to win our first state championship in football. And then my senior year, we lost in the powerlifting championship. We lost to Jasper by 1 point, so we were runner ups that year. So a lot of tradition, a lot of things, like I said, that we still kind of do now, still kind of emulate that program, just kind of modernize it a little bit. And but the roots definitely stem from Coach Woods and what he brought to the table.
That's powerful, coach. That's powerful. That was a great history lesson. What was that backlash, coach? What was when he first came? What was some of those backlash? Why did he receive a little bit of backlash when he first started?
Well, it was different.
Okay.
It was people tend to not embrace change when it's change that they're looking for. He came and it was a running style offense. We were split back veer, uh, which was very normal during that time. That's what Coach Woods knew. It was a reading style defense, wasn't an attacking defense. So it took some getting used to. It took some, there's a lot of people who were just real resistant uh, to that, but it paid dividends. The people that needed to buy in, which were the coaching staff and the players, we bought in, and man, it's the best football. Probably those 3 years, I learned more football at that time than I probably have my whole life in just in such a big chunk.
Yeah,
It revolutionized just how I thought about the game and just the ins and the outs, and I really began to be intrigued about how to produce that type of team and get it to the field. And it was an A to Z session that it wasn't something that somebody told me. It was something that I lived. So
wow,
the experience has really yielded some great results for me.
that's a blessing. That's a blessing. So, walk me through young Carlos Lynn when you went to college. What was your mindset, and what do you remember about some times back then?
Oh, shoot, man! Went to East Central University there in Ada, Oklahoma. Um, And Todd Graham was my defensive coordinator. Came in and he seen a they did a story on us about 4 or 5 of us seniors from Wilmer Hutchins, just talking about how we weren't being recruited and how and then back then it's not like now. It was the recruiting was way totally different. These kids now have way more opportunities than we ever had. But the Dallas Morning News did a little spread on us, was on the front page, and the very next day, Todd Graham came to Wilmer Hutchins High School and recruited me, and I went to East Central from that. It was just like it was a heaven sent. So
Mhm.
uh, I had an opportunity to go to East Central. I spent 4 years up there and came out there with 2 rings. We won a conference championship in '92, and then we won the NAIA national championship in 1993. And once again, man, it was you know an experience where we had a lot of talent that were from all over the place that probably shouldn't have been at East Central at that time.
Mhm.
And we parlayed it into a national championship, and I had some great memories from there. I still have a lot of friends, and still have a lot of teammates and classmates that I communicate with even to the day from East Central. So those times were pretty good as well. Though the ending of my playing days and is having the opportunity to go out and really you know impact the game a little bit. Was always a team captain, always on the leadership side of things, and when we had some great times then.
Walk me through that first coaching job. Did you know in college you were going to go into coaching after your playing career?
Uh, I was, I talked about Dean Jackson. He made mention of it. I thought I would be a great coach. Ty Graham, he made mention of it. He wanted to, bring me, back to East Central or wherever he was going at the time. So that kind of, I thought I was going to be a sports broadcaster, and I was a communications major, and had all this other stuff going on, and but I went on ahead and Coach Jackson had got the job at Wilmer Hutchins, so I decided to say that's what I wanted to do. I didn't have my all of my teaching certification at the time, and I was on a different little program, a deficiency plan, and I went and worked. Never been in the classroom, never did any of that. I mean, you talking about a real breaking in session. Uh, at that time, boy, you talking about raw as raw could be. But that's where I started. I started at home, did 3 years at William Hutchins, and then I kind of moved on from there. But that's kind of where I got my teeth cut and really got opportunity to uh, learn the game. Uh, I'll never forget. I was the only freshman coach. My first year there. We didn't have a lot of coaches. I was the only freshman coach. One guy for everything. So I thank Coach Woods for that. Seeing him carry the load, I didn't complain about it. Didn't worry about it. Hey, we just went on in there and got the job done.
What was that second stop for you, coach?
I left Wilmer Hutchins and I got an opportunity to go and now work for Coach Woods. I played for him and he was at Cedar Hill in 1998. I got an opportunity to go work for Coach Wood. So he hired me on as a defensive tackles coach, and shoot, that's kind of how I got started at Cedar Hills with Coach Woods.
Now, how old were you back then, coach?
Ooh, man. I guess I've been 24, 25.
24, 25. And Cedar Hill
Uh-huh.
wasn't the Cedar Hill that we know today, correct? How was that? How was that community? What was that town like back then? Because that was quite a while ago.
Yeah, the dynamics definitely have changed since then, and we were on the ground floor of change that was happening at Cedar Hill. Uh, Cedar Hill had just broke ground on the new on what was then the new field house. That's where we currently are. And in 2000 was the first year that we played on the stadium that we all know as Longhorn Stadium now. Cedar Hill was, and I taught public speaking at that time, and man, my classes were probably 90% white at that time, and it just seemed like overnight, those dynamics just flipped. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, my classes were 90% black in like a span of like 2 or 3 years. It was crazy growth, and even at that time, they were talking about maybe two high schools in Cedar Hill, and that was just how fast the flight into that town happened. And it was real different. But no, we were a predominantly doormat team. I always had great talent, but we just never really kind of got to the point of where we were just really living up to the talent that we had. So we those couple of years, first 4 or 5 years that we struggled mightily, and but we eventually got that thing turned around.
Was the demographics like, let's say, Cedar Hill, DeSoto, and those demographics like that on all those community cities, or was it just Cedar Hill at that time?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much it was. DeSoto was kind of the first school in Southwest Dallas County to kind of break in and start to get minorities in that time. They were like the first ones, and then Duncanville kind of came along, and Cedar Hill was kind of last with that, and really the first one was Lancaster. If you want
Mm.
to throw them in, Lancaster and DeSoto, they really kind of started started the migration south to that part of the county, and then Duncanville and then Cedar Hill came on through right around the 2000s. So yeah, it was a different, like I said, it was a different time then. But what you see today is probably uh, you know at least one of the top three football meccas in the
Yeah.
world of Texas high
Hmm.
school football. So it's a blessing to be here.
Yeah. And I'm gonna lead up to that. So I think Coach Woods left, and then y'all hired Joey McGuire, and then you started being a defensive coordinator, correct, Coach?
Yes, sir.
Now, I mean, that had to be big because I mean, you guys had won a state. I remember you winning state as a defense coordinator. Walk me through how was your style back then, Coach? How did that feel, and what were some of those things you learned under Coach Joy?
uh, you know, we kind of really walked this thing out together, myself and Coach McGuire. As soon as he got the job, it was man, it was a crazy time because you're talking about a guy that had never been a coordinator. You're talking about a guy that had never been pretty much in any leadership role to take over a Cedar Hill football program. Uh, Man, Coach McGuire, he beat out Chad Morris and a lot of these, household names, for that job. So when people talk about him getting that job, it was really, really, really groundbreaking. And without hesitation, he made me his defensive coordinator, and we brought in Chris Boyd, who worked with us in some previous years. He was at Ennis, and Ennis had won 2 or 3 state championships
Hmm.
at that time. I think Coach McGuire got a job in 2003. So Ennis was rocking and rolling. We wanted to bring that style of offense because, of course, we were doing what Coach Woods was doing, and that was the kind of the evolution of the spread offense and everybody going to shotgun, and Graham Harrell and those guys at Ennis was kind of in front of the curve before everybody started doing it. I would say Ennis and Stephenville were probably the groundbreaking schools to start a lot of this, shotgun football as we call it.
Mm-hmm.
And we brought that style in, and man, it was revolutionary. Coach McGuire. Uh, we spent a lot of time always just talking before we were anything. Before we were just position coach. I was coaching the D tackles. He was coaching the outside linebackers, and we were just always talking ball. Always, I get my first head job. This is what I'm doing. I'm talking about him. When I get my first head job, this is what I'm gonna do. So we was always shooting ideas and learning and gleaning from one another. But Coach McGuire's passion and his love for kids and his love for ball, those things were unparalleled, and no one could match that love and passion that he had for the game. And I think that's what still kind of sets him apart from a lot of people, is that he really 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 loves and he loves his kids, and he I mean he down the cross for him. He would fall on a sword for him. And that's kind of guy that he is. So that love and that passion and that just being all in are the things that I learned from Coach McGuire. It wasn't we were never lukewarm. We were hot or cold. And those were some of the things that those some of the virtues that we still try to possess, and shaping and molding kids into being the best version of themselves that they can be. So that's kind of the lineage right there.
Now, Coach, that Bonnet Cedar Hill boot camp. Anybody that knows Texas high school football heard about it. Where did it come from, and were y'all operating anyway back then? I mean, 'cause that's almost it's a big deal. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's funny. We like I said, Coach McGuire got a job in 2003, and and then we went on into 2004, and we had some okay seasons. I mean, it was nothing earth shattering, and then for the first time we won district in 2005. In 2005, we played Allen in the first round of the playoffs at Old Texas Stadium, and it was a barn burner, and we ended up losing. We ended up losing that game. And this is with we had Jarrell Norton, the quarterback, who went to play at Arkansas, and and we had a young Will Cole, playing slot receiver, doing things. We had some phenomenal talent on that team, and we felt like man, we could have gone a lot further. That game was close, and uh, I mean, it could have went either way, and we just felt like we needed to do something to get us over the edge. And our offensive line coach at the time, Richard Leonard, suggested, that boot camp, and he had researched some schools, um, Converse Justin was doing some semblance of it, and Kev Harden, who was over at Rowlett, they were doing it. So kind of did some research, and we kind of designed it, to kind of fit what we wanted to do there at Cedar Hill. And long story short, after that season, we're going to the 2006 season. After doing the first boot camp in the spring in 2006, shoot, we run the table. We go 16. We go 16-0. So boot camp, it meant everything to us. We felt like, that was something that we could always kind of hold in front of our kids and let them know that, hey, you've been through something that no one else has been through. You've
Mhm.
done something. You sacrificed. You've invested in this program to the point to where you won't go down without a fight. And that mentality is what we try to hone in on. And people always wonder why Cedar Hill plays so hard. I don't care what the score look like. I don't care who we're playing. Our kids just play with an edge. They play with a tremendous sense of urgency. Whether we're playing, whether we're executing perfect, or whether we're fitting right or wrong, they're playing hard, and you'll win a lot of games just by beating people by playing hard and playing with great effort. You don't even have to do things right. You can beat people with some great effort. So that's kind of the evolution of it, of how it started and how we kind of um, got it going into being. And it's been revolutionary, and we still, we haven't changed a whole lot of it. We've tweaked and adjusted, of course, but uh, the basis and the premise of it is still the same.
Yeah. 23 minutes in, Hood Scout podcast. Got Coach Carlos Lynn out of Cedar Hill High School joining me. Coach, so kind of going back to that history of ascending to where you are now, you get that Seguin job. Walk me through what was your mindset back then? I know those who know you from other things, it was very exciting. How did that first head coaching job feel for you?
Well, of course, it was very very fulfilling.
Hmm.
you know, when you're in this business and that's what you want to do, is to be a head coach. It's awesome opportunity to be able to do that. A lot of work and groundwork would needed to be laid there at Seguin. We weren't trying to come in and just be an okay program. We was trying to do the same thing that we did at Cedar Hill. Uh, uh, we put in a lot of time, put in a lot of effort to make Seguin a respectable program. That's why I always like I said we were. If you walked in there, we never had the talent like Cedar Hill. But
Hmm.
boy, I tell you what, we got our kids to play with a full clip. And if you walk around, you tiptoed around Seguin, you're gonna get your head busted. And that's kind of what we were. That's kind of what we were known for. Just hard nosed ball club. That they had a few kids that we did the best with what we had, and but that community embraced it and loved it, and I think we took it as far as we could have taken it at that time. Seguin just sat in such a bad spot as far as schools around it. We had, Timberview had the same zip code as Seguin. Mansfield Summer was right down the street. Bowie was around the corner. You could stand on the top of the bleachers at Seguin and see Timberview, see Summit, see Bowie. You see all these schools that was around it. So that area was just so concentrated with schools. It was hard to keep your good kids around there just because the parents, had so many options. So we did a great job, I thought, there, and getting Seguin to where, man, you walk in there, you better be strapped up, ready to play, because we was gonna get after your tail, and that's what it was all about.
Who were some of your coaches that you gave a chance to? Cause, and I want to get to that in a little bit because I think that's a big point. But who were some of those coaches you hired at that time, Coach?
Oh man, of course, I brought in the great Steve Hafford with me from Cedar Hill. He was my OC. Uh, my first DC was Kendrick Brown. He's the head coach at Little Lamb now. Uh, and then I got Coach Hafford was always my OC, and my second DC was Vincent Green, who is the assistant head coach at Mesquite with
Mhm.
Coach Harris now. Coach Harris was on my staff. Coach Harris was my linebackers coach at that time. So those guys did some good stuff. Chris Real, who's a quarterback coach over at Arlington High now. James Dumont, who's a running back coach at Frisco Memorial. This has some good guys. Shane Rink is my defensive line coach. He's down at Cypress Fairbanks now. Had some phenomenal guys. Shane Ferguson, who's the uh, who's the DC at Arlington Bowie now, was on my staff. Man, the list goes on.
Yeah.
Chris Rose, from my cornerbacks coach. He's an assistant principal at Everman now. Just some outstanding dudes, man. Just some we put together a collection of talent and got those guys going, man. They did some good stuff for us.
That's good stuff, Coach. I always like to highlight that type of stuff. So you leave there, and I remember that time like it was yesterday. You know, you had your Duncanvilles, and you had Cedar Hill. How did that feel, Coach? I mean, I know they had to feel like you arrived when you left Seguin, and it was kind of that period to where which school I'm gonna go to, and walk me through that because that had to be feel pretty big for you.
Absolutely. When you get a chance, Cedar Hill is a destination stop. Uh, it's a lot of people that apply for that job, and God in His infinite wisdom, just had it set up for me. I made some great strides in that community and done some great things. We've always stayed in Cedar Hill. We moved to Cedar Hill in 1998 and never left. So our community ties, and my son, who's a senior now, went through Cedar Hill schools, and it was just all set up. It was set up. It was perfect. Um, but that time was crucial, and it was tough. It was a tough grind. You're following a legend, and they say never follow a legend.
Yeah.
But I know Coach McGuire has always been a great friend of mine. Still to this day, we'll talk once twice a week. Just kind of chop it up a little bit. But it's an honor and a privilege to even be considered uh, uh, to be the head coach of the program at the stature of Cedar Hill, and I'm still excited about it. I hadn't lost one bit of energy behind being the head coach. That's something that I hold in high esteem.
What was your vision of the program, Coach? Was it just to continue to build on what Coach McGuire left? Was to add a new wrinkle in it? What was your vision, and what are those core principles, City here? I know that that Longhorn speed. What are y'all built upon out there?
The thing that you do, I look at Cedar Hill as as an elite school as far as the football program is concerned. It's like you're going to an Ohio State. It's like you're going to a USC, a Michigan, a LSU, a Texas A&M, a school that has rich tradition. And when you have those rich traditions, what you don't want to do is go in there and start changing stuff.
Mhm.
Uh, it's too much foundation and groundwork that has been laid to get it to where it is. And fortunately for me, I was a part of some of that foundation building, so I knew exactly where some of the stuff derived from, and why we do it, and how we do it. So I knew the some of the inner workings, and just the groundwork of how all of the pieces came together. Infrastructure is what I was looking for. I knew the infrastructure of how everything kind of came together. So I wanted to make sure that we maintain that. And of course, a lot of it, should I had forgotten. I'd been gone, almost 10 years. So uh, some of those things began to come back to me, and then the kids wouldn't let you, do something. Hey, cool, we know to do. I was like, that's right. So they were so in tune with it, and that's the beautiful thing too, is that Cedar Hill kids, they know their traditions, they know exactly what's going on. So they kept me straight those first couple of years, just to help me to get my bearings back. Um, but my goal was to uh I didn't have to build a brand, I wanted to represent the brand, not only represent the brand, I wanted to grow the brand. And that's kind of been our deal now. How do we grow it? How do we grow it? It's established. There's nothing that anyone can do to come in and take away, TTHL, or whatever the things, the standards and beliefs that we have there in Cedar Hill. Now it's up to us, and the people that's there now, and the people that whoever comes behind us, to continue to grow it. and to make that piece of it a little bit better. So that's what you try to do. You try to grow the brand, um, and take it to the next level. And whatever that looks like and whatever that is, that's kind of what your task.
33 minutes in, Hood Scout Podcast. Coach Carlos Lynn from Cedar Hill joining me. Really, really good talk. So, Coach, I hear so much about culture. I hear so much about, when you go into Cedar Hill, you can feel it. It's a living, breathing thing. You see the pictures on the wall. How does one establish such a strong culture, Coach? I mean, that's a hot button topic now, but how do you build that? Because I've interviewed your coach, and they say it's a living, breathing thing. How does that come about, Coach?
That is a multi-layered, nuanced question and answer. Um, there's no easy way to answer it. It's almost like trying to uh, explain, uh, you know uh, I'm trying to find something that's close, that's close to it. um, Man, it's so many layers in it. I you know you gonna do it this justice if you try to fully explain it. And when at Cedar Hill, there's such a love.
Okay.
People always talk about, kids transferring in and transferring out. You're gonna have that, wherever you go. But it's just something about being in Cedar Hill, man, that our kids, they love Cedar Hill. Um, and I don't really know where that is established from. Uh, they come up there with that. So I don't know if it's somewhere in junior high. I don't know if it's somewhere in elementary school. I don't know if it's something they heard or something they've seen, but they grow up wanting to be Longhorns, and it's a badge of honor. Um, and I don't know if it's something that one person can take credit for. I think it's a
Mhm.
community thing. It's a built-in thing that everybody had, kind of a piece of it, and then it grew in together, and now it's cooked into the fabric of the community, and it just makes people. I mean, you got kids, man. I have kids. I be at church, and they'll be like, I'm ready. I'll be up there next. It's amazing, and what's so crazy about it is not just football guys. I mean, it's the girls. Everybody loves just being a part of what Cedar Hill is doing, and man, I would be wrong to try to, you know, I mean, give you a ABC, type of answer. I mean, I can't, and it's a love, and the thing about it too is we get new coaches in, and
Yeah.
we begin to start talking to them about, the Cedar Hill way, and how we do it. And then when they, it's one thing to say, Longhorns, TTJ, you're talking about this stuff, the evolution of it. But when you meet those kids and you see that love, and you see that hunger, and you see that, that work ethic and what they put into it, it's like no other. And it's just one of those magical things, and we've had a lot of what we call that TTHL magic to happen in Cedar Hill, and it's just kind of, it's marked inside of the kid. It's in their DNA. It's in their bloodstream. They are born with it. It seems like, and it's a perfect fit. And even kids that transfer in or whatever, they either jump on board or they stick out like a sore thumb. And
Hmm.
it's amazing how that works. But I hope I answered some of
Yeah,
that
you
question.
did. No, you did. You did, Coach. Coach,
No.
how important? I got a few more questions for you. 37 minutes into the podcast, Coach, how important is it for that athlete to also run track or powerlifting? That seems to be kind of a thing that's embedded in your culture as well. How important is that to kind of do something else outside of just playing your specific sport?
Yeah, that's that's the difference. Uh, for us, we feel like that's the edge that we get is that we get an opportunity to um, compete year round. Uh, there's everyone knows if you're a part of the football team, you're gonna lift in a powerlifting meet. You're gonna practice track if you're a skill guy. Those are norms. Those are things that it's just. I mean, the ones that don't get it, they don't get it. You
Hmm.
know, but if you don't do it, you're not gonna play. And that's the bottom line. That's the standard that has been set there long before these kids ever got there. That's the Cedar Hill standard, and the standard is the standard. And those things really carry over into the fall in football. You've been used to working pretty much year round, and now when that football time comes, man, you've invested something that can never be taken away from you. That time, that energy in that weight room and on that track, it's going to pay off. And a lot of
Hmm.
them don't see it until it happens. Um, but they began to understand that that was a great investment of my time. And when you understand that if I put in this time and I put in all this effort in this weight room and on this track, and then I see the results on the football field, that makes everybody want to be a part of it. So those are things that happen in your program that allows you to build trust. When those kids see themselves getting stronger, they see those matches going up, they see themselves playing faster and building speed and beating kids running that they couldn't beat before.
Hmm.
Those are things that you can. Those are tangible things that you can touch in your program to let you know you're headed in the right direction. So we use those things as guideposts and guide marks to let us know that we're performing at that championship clip where we need to be.
Hmm. Coach, how important is a administration and a principal? How important is that to like a football team or coach head coach? That do that need to be important for the collective of that?
Yeah, I mean you can talk to any championship program, and they will let you know that if you don't have the support of the administration, you're not gonna win it.
Hmm.
You can't hardly win a game
Hmm.
without the support of a supportive administration. Those people in that administration, um, they are looking for you to lead in the fashion that you lead on the football field. So we want to hire coaches that are just excited about teaching our scholars in the classroom as they're teaching those athletes on the football field. I want I want teachers of the year, you know, material type coaches. I want guys that are invested and bought in to everything about education, not just the football piece. And those are the type of people that I want to hire. I want to bring in people that have goals. I want to bring in people that have aspirations, and I want to help guide them to those things. So you have to bring something to the table if you want to get to the next level. And if you want to get to the next level, I feel like there's some things along the way, some pieces of the puzzle that I can help you map down and put down to get you there. But you got to bring something to the table, and those are the type of that lends itself to your administration really trusting you on personnel issues. But you don't bring a bum in here, or you don't bring in a guy that that's not going to take care of business in the classroom. All they're going to do is focus on football. That does the school culture no
Hmm.
good. That does the classroom and all of those students that you're entrusted with, they don't do them any good to bring in someone that hasn't or that can't deliver in that classroom. We want bosses in the classroom as well as bosses on that coaching on that football field.
Boy, that's a nugget right there. That's a powerful nugget right there. Coach, you've had, and I don't want to do the numbers, at least five guys on your staff to get head coaching jobs, and that's lately in the past 5 years. That's so big, Coach. What does that say to you? How does that make you feel, Coach? Because to me, I mean, it's not a great compliment outside of maybe winning, but your guys come to your school and they get head coaching jobs. Speak to that a little bit.
You know, I like to think that our operations and our organization is to the point to where a lot of people think that that I'm doing something. I'm just what I'm doing is I'm just running the program. And if you pay attention to people that run programs, you'll pick up how to do it. It's not earth shattering. It's not mind boggling. It's no secrets. Um, but I make that transparent to my staff. If you want to be a head coach, you want to be a coordinator, all you have to do is open up your eyes.
Hmm.
It's right there. It's right here in front of you, and that lends itself to the idea of what I was talking about earlier about you have to bring something to the table. Whatever you're bringing, when you leave my presence, it's going to be enhanced if you pay any attention. So those are the things that I like to just highlight to coaches, is that when you come into a program, I want to help you. I've coached more than I will coach in the future. I'm going on year 27. So what I want to be able to do is what I call I'm in my legacy building phase right now. For whereas I'm an open book to coaches that want to talk, that want to learn, that want to grow, because I want the profession to be better than when I came in and when I found it when I leave. So um, I make it a point to try to be a teacher. I make it a point to try to convey ideas and thoughts where my guys can understand. Not I'm gonna do it just because Coach Lynn says to do it. I'm gonna try to give them the why I do it. And I think sometimes when you understand, I think that's the key to this generation. People always talking about millennial this and they don't do this. And so you have to be able, you have to be, in order to connect with a teenager in 2022, you have to be able to connect with them with the journalistic question: the who, what, when, where, why, and how. If
Hmm.
you're able to communicate that to them, they don't mind doing anything for you. And I think that's the difference. They understand the root of what you're trying to do, and when they understand the root of what you're trying to do, they'll go along with it. They'll go along with it. Or if they disagree, they disagree. But at least they'll know why you're doing or why you're saying what you're doing. And that's what happens with a lot of these coaches, is that they have the ability, they have the knowledge, they know the X's and O's, they know all of this, but they haven't been able to connect the dots. And that's what I help them to do. I help them to connect the dots to see how all of the small pictures fit into the big picture. And once they get in, that light bulb comes on, it's over.
Coach, I've observed you on the field, and one thing that really stood out to me was your calm demeanor as a coach. You're not going crazy, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Is that come from being seasoned? Where does that come from to where you can kind of have a milder approach rather than being so up and down?
Well, in my whole lot younger days, I was the energy guy. I was, got people fired up. I was the guy that did the pregame stretch and all of that. I was that guy. When I became a coordinator and a head coach, you're in the game a little bit different. and I let some of those other guys do that stuff. I mean, we're trying to go win now, uh, and I like to kind of reserve, you know, my juice or my energy for those times that we really need it. And I try to I just try to uh, not, it's just like when you yell at somebody. If you always yelling at somebody, at some point they're gonna get desensitized to it, and they were like, oh, he just yelling, you know.
Hmm.
But if you save it to those moments that really mean something, then they know you're serious. Then they know, hey man, Coach Lynn was upset. We'll never see him like that. So
Hmm.
I try to save those moments for when we really need them the most. And and you can call it maturity. You can call it that. I see the game from a different lens now. And when you see the game from a different lens, how you respond to certain things are just different. I have a lot, and then it depends on too who I have on that sideline. If you don't want to overdo anything. I think
Yeah.
you have to have a balanced approach to how you deal with teenagers. If they get too much of anything, it's not good.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure that and maybe a time where I have to be that guy. Maybe I don't have a staff or someone on the staff that can bring the juice to where we need it, and it may call for me to do that. And I think that's the experience part of it, is understanding that if it's needed, then I'm the one that has to bring it. I'm the one that has to do it. I can't rely on someone else to do that for us. So it's just one of those deals where you don't it's good cop, bad cop. You don't need all
Yeah.
bad cops. You don't need all good cops. Now,
Yeah. Well, we're 50 minutes in, guys. I got a few more questions, man. Talking to Coach Carlos Lynn. Man, I'm really, really enjoying this thing. Coach, what's your ways of learning? I see you I see you, on social media at the coaching conferences, things like that. What's your ways of growing as a leader and as a man, and I guess even as a husband?
my foundation, is definitely, being a man of God, being a Christian, being a follower of Christ. I think that has shaped a lot of how I do things. Uh, and if I can continue to grow spiritually, everything else will fall into place. I believe that my stand on just how to live has helped me to become a better coach. It's helped me to become a better husband, helped me to become a better father. So I think everything that I do stems from those values and those beliefs. And I'm not gonna miss a Sunday church. I'm not gonna miss a Monday school. I'm not gonna miss Friday nights, men's fellowship. Those are opportunities for me to grow. And if I'm growing, then it's easy for me to pour in to the men and the young men that I'm around on a daily basis, and help them to grow. Uh, you know, those that I think at the very root of it, that's it. Of course, I'm reading one of Bill Walsh's books now. Of course, I'm gonna go to clinics and continue to grow in the profession. That goes without saying.
Hmm.
You have to be competent. You have to be, understand the trends of the game, and it changes all the time. You have to be current. You have to be relevant. And that just comes with the profession. Starting in 1995, the football was way different than it is in 2022.
True.
If you don't keep up, you get left behind. So those are things that we always do. We're gonna always go to clinics. We're gonna always go to things to help to make sure that we're putting our kids in the best position to be successful.
Hmm. That's a good point. One thing I heard about you, Coach, that I thought was a great compliment. Miss Coach said, Coach Lynn is going to do things the right way, and I thought that was a great compliment. Coach, talk to me about that year you guys went to state. That's really when I really started kind of Well, I seen you before then, but that really caught my attention. You had a guy like Caden Salter. What do it mean, Coach, to have a guy like that who's a four-star quarterback committed to Tennessee now at Liberty? Um, when you coaching a guy like that, what stands out? Do you know that he's special? And do you think you're going to get another one of those type of guys in your program?
Well, I hope so.
Okay.
I tell you what, that guy there was he was a real deal. Best quarterback, just all around quarterback that I've had the opportunity to coach. Um, you just don't. I mean, those guys don't grow on trees, and we'll all be hearing from him
Yep.
again
Yep.
real soon. Um, but I think when you have that type of guy, you got to cash in on it. And with COVID and all of that, man, we had the right guy during that time, and we were able to ride his coattails all the way up until the state game. And come to find out, after the game that he had COVID. State game was probably his worst game as a Cedar Hill Longhorn, but he's out there sick.
Hmm.
So with him being healthy and everything else, I would have liked to seen that. Well, I don't know if we would have won. We probably would have played a little bit better. But if we don't have him, we probably don't have an opportunity to play for that state championship. That's how valuable he was to the program, and he did a lot of things that was outstanding that helped us to get there, and we had a good defense that year
Yeah.
too. So those two things together, man, make for a powerful combination. You got a quarterback, you got a defense, you can scare some people.
Hmm. Coach, how do you handle defeat? How do you handle a loss, Coach? I mean, you haven't lost a lot, but as a coach, how do you handle losing? How do you handle defeat?
Uh, and you just have to put it all in perspective. Uh, I was talking to my homeboy, my friend of mine, been knowing him since seventh grade, and then we was just talking about just our loss as men. Lost lost my grandfather in 1998. Lost my little brother in 2004. Lost my uncle that introduced me to football in 2010. Lost my mom in 2011. Lost my grandmother in 2019. And those are all of the people that that I mean, if it wasn't for my wife and my son, I would have nobody. Those are the people that brought me up. And when you have a loss in your personal life, that means that a football loss is nothing, you
Hmm.
know. And I just have to put it all in perspective. The things that I've learned, the things that I've grown through and from, help you to put those things in perspective. You gain a measure of understanding when you come up short, and but if you lose your mind because you lost, you're probably gonna lose again and
Yeah.
again and again and
Hmm.
again. So you don't want one loss to multiply. You wanna be able to harness that energy, harness that emotion, and get it geared toward whatever is next. And that's how I wins and losses for that matter, because you can't get drunk on your success.
Yeah.
You get drunk on your success, you're no good for the next time.
Yeah.
So I think, once again, we're talking about balance. I think those are things that you have to be able to balance, um, in order to have long-term sustainable success. Um, and those things, and you have to get your kids to understand that one win don't mean you're gonna win it all. One loss don't mean you're gonna lose them all. You
Hmm.
know, it's just how you frame it. I
Man, and those who know you from church and stuff like that know that you've overcome some stuff, Coach. And I just want to commend you for that, Coach. I thought about something you was talking that was very powerful. You said something last year. You said the team was. He said we. You said we always play with an edge, But that particular team, which was last year, we went over that line. This was before the year. What did you mean by that, Coach?
Uh, I just believe that we each, you know, the helmet the helmet stays the same, but those faces inside the helmets, they change every year.
Mhm.
Uh, I just felt like this it was just a different group. It was a different group collectively, uh, and we had to really. I mean, it was like driving a car with no power steering. I mean, we had to really navigate this year. Uh, it made us all better coaches. It made us all better coaches. When you're dealing with different personalities and you're dealing with different things, um, you can't complain about it. It is what it is. So we are tasked with a job as coaches to make sure that we get it done. The community expectations, the administration expectations, they don't care about none of that other stuff. They
Mhm.
they just looking for the end result. So we took a team that was that struggled in a lot of areas off the field, uh, and took them 3 rounds. They in their 4 rounds in the playoffs. My hat goes off to my coaches. Uh, I'm not the type of guy that's going to allow for a lot of excuses. We're not going to blame the kids. We're not. How do we get it done? And we to this year was we found a way, and it ended up being a respectable, successful year in our eyes. Um, we had some tough games. I think shoot, we hadn't lost. We've never been blanked. DeSoto blanked us. Duncanville steamrolled us. We've never been that far away from those ball clubs. Um, but those were wake up calls too.
Mhm.
And once again, we have to learn from those things, and we have to grow from those things. And we had to really hold a team together because we played those schools back to back. We played DeSoto, got thrashed. We had to come back again that very next week. We prepared for Duncanville, got steamrolled, and just to get through those 2 weeks was
Mhm.
rough
Yeah.
because those games are so emotional, and the kids want to beat those guys so bad. But we just as a team, what we probably could have been a lot more competitive, maybe even beating one of them, but we weren't a team yet.
Mhm.
And until we start playing as a team and start doing things as a team, then that's when things started getting better. And that light bulb came on after those games. And sometimes you had to get slapped across the back to get a wake up call. And that's what it was. And we used that to our advantage, and it was a different way of playing for us. It was a different way of winning. Um, but we found a way. And that at the
Mhm.
end of the day, that's what you want.
And I think anybody knows Cedar Hill know you guys. Y'all gonna eventually have another crop to raise up, so you wasn't even down this year, but you won't be quote unquote down for long. Coach, let's end with these two questions. We're hour in. Let's end with these two questions. Give me your definition of culture, and give me your definition of a servant leader, and we'll end on those two.
Okay. It was only 1 year that I didn't go to school in William Hutchins ISD. I went to DISD 1 year. I wanted to stay with my mom. My mom stayed in the Canterbury Village apartment, sold off Camp Wisdom. And I've been in William Hutchins my whole life. In my 6th grade year, I wanted to stay with my mom, and so I went to Bertie Alexander for 1 year, and my 6th grade teacher was Mr. Parham. And Mr. Parham taught us in social studies the definition of culture, and I've never forgotten it from the 6th grade. He said that culture was a way of life. Culture was a way of life, and it was depicted by uh, language, boundaries, and traditions. And I can take that same definition of culture, and put it in the framework of a football program. And that's what it is. It's your program's way of life. It's how you live based upon your language. We talk about TTHL, we talk about Longhorn speed, we talk about the core values, the standard of behavior, we talk about the mission. Those things never change. We talk about the boundaries. Cedar Hill, Texas is known for its football program. That's our area. We're the only. You go past our water tower. It's the only one in the area that got 3 football state championships on there, and we've been there 5 times. So those things are there. The traditions, they're set. They're in place. Whether I leave and they bring somebody in, those same traditions are going to be in place. So that's how I define a culture. Once again, it's a way of life based upon language, boundaries, and traditions. And if you have those things, if you don't have any of those things, you don't have a culture. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're still trying to build your culture. But yeah, I do believe this too, that culture is either by default or by design. So
Mm.
you have some people that are doing some things just because they've always been done. But when you have a true culture, it's a design because there's a desired result that you're looking for at the end. And our desired result is to be holding up that funny looking trophy on December 17th. That's our desired result, to make it all the way up that ladder for 16 weeks and to be hoisting that state championship 6A Division II trophy. And everything that we do is guided towards that. And that's how we define our culture. Serving leadership to me is the opportunity, and I highlight opportunity. It's the opportunity to help someone else, man. Um, you don't. I mean, we pick up trash. We do all of the what we call the vital things. People call them little things or details. In Cedar Hill, we call them vital things. Uh, Man, we're gonna clean up the weight room. We're gonna clean up the locker room. We're gonna do all of the vital things. Every single every and I know my coach get tired of. I know the kids get tired of them, but that's how you win. You don't leave no stone unturned, and it's no one's job. It's everybody's job. Everybody that same paper that I picked up, did 20 people walk by that same piece of paper? Did somebody not throw that can, in the trash can? Those are things that you have to teach. Those are things that you have to model. Uh, and that's what servant leadership is. It's putting on display the type of leadership that you want to have, that you want your organization to have. So I cannot ask my coaches to do something that I wouldn't do. I cannot ask our players to do something that I wouldn't do. And a lot of times, I mean, you have to go out front and get it done. You know, um, be it talking to a parent or whatever. Sometimes I had to bite the bullet. And I'm 100% right, but to keep the peace, this is what we do. So that's what I call servant leadership.
Well, you left the microphone ablaze on that one, Coach. So I'm not gonna add anything else to that. Hour and 6 minutes in, and that's a wrap, guys, of the Hood Scout Podcast with Coach Carlos Lynn out of Cedar Hill, Texas. Coach, thank you for joining me. I really do appreciate it, and enjoy your day.
Absolutely, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for
Okay,
having
take
me.
care. Yes, sir.
All right.
Bye
Uh-huh.
bye.